Regrets that I have about college. So, the number one regret that I have is about the end of my college experience. I actually graduated smack in the middle of the pandemic. It was December of 2020, and I was in the middle of my professional development classes when the pandemic hit in March of that year. My major is app and web design. That is what I graduated with. It does have a more formal name, but that name confuses people who are not in the industry, so I just go with that when I'm trying to explain it to people. Honestly, I was pretty upset because the art students who had visual products that they could showcase for their senior showcase, their showcase got moved online, whereas ours just got canceled, even though we had really similar products that we could have showcased. A part of me wishes that I had waited a year, like taken a year off because it was the pandemic, because it was my senior year, because everything was gonna shut down ultimately. But obviously, I didn't know that mid-semester. I didn't know that in March. It wasn't like when my professional development class got canceled, they were barring us from graduating. They sent us out into the real world without actually having completed our professional development class. I basically got like comped and we graduated anyway. I feel like I graduated into a black hole. Technically, my degree is in STEM. It involves technology, but it involves the design of screens. And my degree was not heavy in coding. That means that designers are nice to haves, but in this economy, with the pandemic being what it was, we were really like optional employees. I feel like most of the time. I think I might have been better off with a computer science major, but honestly, that just wasn't what I was passionate about. My field does come with a six-figure salary, by the way, just in case you were wondering. Also, because I don't live in California or someplace like Austin, Texas, it's been hard finding companies that are very familiar with design, what UX design is in my area. Remote design jobs are really competitive, so I feel like they're not going to hire beginners, graduates with little formal design experience for full-time remote roles. I feel like because my degree gets so misunderstood so easily, a lot of the jobs that I have had success in finding and landing have been personal assistant, customer service, jobs that don't really require degrees to begin with. I think that a lot of it does have to do with the timing when I graduated. Also, I've always been interested in innovative stuff. I think that by choosing the major that I chose, I'm also a little bit ahead of society in general. I think that eventually there will be a time when every business owner considers app and web design, but right now we're lumped in with social media marketing. And yeah, it's great if you can use a website builder to build a website, but a lot of website builders are not fully customizable. They don't think about what the experience is of the user when using the website. A lot of them use templates that are kind of outdated and are kind of obvious that they're templates. I've been struggling a lot to find successful, gainful employment since I graduated in the middle of the pandemic. Yes, I know it's been several years. I was reluctant to talk about this because this is something that has made me very upset. But I also realized that I'm not the only person that graduated during the pandemic. I'm not the only person that has graduated with a degree in an emerging field. So if that's you, if either of those or both of those things are you, definitely comment down below and tell me about your experience with finding employment. Honestly, my dream job has always just been content creator. I'm still struggling on this journey, but this is what makes me most excited in the world. Some other regrets that I have about my college experience include going somewhere where I wasn't exactly the right fit and staying there because of location. A part of me also regrets not double majoring. I think that double majoring would have been very value driven for me, especially. I would have also liked to have a double degree, which means a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts are another type of degree besides Bachelor of Science. You could pursue those at the same time at my school. I didn't know that until basically I was graduating. I ended up with a Bachelor of Science, but I was also really interested in a lot of artistic things, so I think I would have been happy getting a Bachelor of Arts as well. And if I got those at the same time and was still eligible for all of the scholarships that first-time college students have, or at least people pursuing an undergraduate degree who don't already have an undergraduate degree are eligible for, pursuing a program like that would have been very value driven. For me, especially creating content on YouTube, I think that I've just built it up so much in my head. I've been focused on having the perfect setup with all of the right equipment for so long, and then once I get to actually making content, I get so nervous that I'm gonna mess something up. It hampers my content creation process. I know that that's not super relevant to like my college regrets, but I did want to throw that in here. My anxiety around creating content got in the way of me actually being able to create content when I was in college, when I did have free time, when I was living on a college campus, which was amazing. And for the first time in my life, I felt independent enough and I felt like I had enough alone time to actually create content on a consistent basis. I should have been tripling down on creating content in my free time. So that's another thing that I regret about college, is not being motivated enough to create a lot more content. However, I do give myself grace. I've had to deal with some medical issues for my entire life, and a lot of that contributed to fatigue. That's a journey that I'm still going through. Anyway, just in case you were wondering, I'm in like a netted chair. This is honestly pretty comfortable for content creation, and on cinematic mode on my iPhone, it makes everything blurry behind me, and I actually really like this setup. A part of me does really regret choosing a major in an emerging field. A part of me really wishes that I would have majored in marketing and specialized in social media. Another part of me would have been happy as a communications major. I was originally a communications major, but I found this other thing that was more tech focused. And after having to sit through a few communication classes where people in the print industry were actually talking about the future of newspapers, I was a little turned off by communications. Obviously, I do understand the importance of learning the history of the field that you're in, but this seemed a little outdated to me. I really wanted to focus on something that was centered in technology, so that's how I found app and web design. It was also somewhat creative, but honestly, it wasn't as creative as I thought it would be. Design and technology is a cyclical, iterative process where you have to get feedback from the user and then put that to use later on in an app. It does make sense because you need feedback to see if something's working or not. At the same time, you also have to follow the general guidelines of how apps have been previously. You can't really reinvent the wheel. The field in general was not as creative as I hoped that it would have been. I could have also seen myself minoring in something art related. However, at my particular school, you weren't allowed to minor in an art program. If I could go back in time, I would have stopped making content on my long form written content blog that I wasted so much time on for the first 2 years of college. And I would have focused all of my efforts, energy, and attention into YouTube because that was what I wanted to do from the beginning, ever since I was like 7 years old. Anyway, I was holding myself back because of anxiety. I could have used the anxiety over transitioning from high school to college, moving to a new city, all of that new energy I could have used some of that and focused it on YouTube from the very start of college, I would have had 4 solid years to learn to create content while still being independent, while being 18, 19, 20. That would have been golden. If you're in college now, if it's not the right fit for you, my advice would be to not let location deter you from going somewhere that would be better for you. If you've always wanted a YouTube channel, but you've always been afraid maybe your childhood home wasn't exactly right to film in, maybe you don't have enough alone time right now, I'll tell you now that college is going to give you some alone time if you need it to be creative like me. If you can focus that attention and energy into creating content, you'll have enough time to create a lot of content. Those are my personal regrets about college. But honestly, my biggest regret was graduating in 2020, not taking that semester or that year off. And also, my second biggest regret is not pushing myself out of my comfort zone enough to do YouTube from the first week of college. As much as I loved writing, writing was my safe zone. If I had pushed myself to make video content, I don't know where I would be, but I would definitely be in a different place than I am right now. I know that this video seems kind of out of place on my channel, but I wanted to share some reflections on having graduated from college during the pandemic. Stay beautiful.